Oh, my microphone was not turned on. Hello, Adam and May. How's everyone doing? Hello, Alexander. I'm fine. Hello, Leo. Good to see you. I'm fine, May. Hello, Asma. Hello, Ahad. I am fine. Good morning, everyone. Where is Susu? I don't know. I imagine she'll probably be here soon. Am I upset? No. Why do you think I'm upset? No, it's just morning. I mean, it's 10 o'clock. It's not even that early, but I'm just a little tired still. But of course, I'm not upset. Move to Europe? Yeah, right. What's my routine? Well, Ahad, my routine is a little weird. Right now, at this point in my life, I'm kind of taking care of my parents. So my routine, it's whatever their routine is, that's my routine. So I get up in the morning and I make breakfast for them, and then I have to teach and do my stream, and then I have to go do other things to take care of them. So it's all about them, whatever they need. And then my life happens around their life, around their lives, I should say. So I plan my life around doing what I need to do to take care of my parents. But I mean, I most of my work is either taking care of them or working on my business with streaming and teaching. That's pretty much my life at this point. I had a very exciting life when I was younger. I had a very exciting life when I was younger, and I did a lot of exciting, foolish things. So I don't need to do a lot of crazy things at this point in my life now. Hello, Susu. Welcome. Yeah, it's Susu. Hello Talk's notifications are a little bit weird. It's always been this way. I start my stream and you should get a notification right away, but for some reason the notifications don't go out until, well, I don't really know why. I don't really understand what's the delay and why they delay it, but they do. Sometimes people say they don't get notifications at all. So I don't know. What were the exciting things back then that I used to do? Ahad, I'm a musician. I'm a drummer. Okay, so before I taught English, my job was playing music in bars and clubs 4 or 5 days a week, right? So every night I would be playing music in a bar or in a club. So you can imagine if you're in a bar 4 or 5 nights a week for 10 or 15 years, you can imagine probably you've seen some things. Okay, so we are here. We are here. Hello. If you have questions, then you can ask me your questions. If you want to, introduce yourself to me, introduce yourself to me. If you don't know what we are doing here, you should just listen for a while. Just, come watch and listen for a little while. I would say about half of the people that are in the room right now are regular watchers, people who watch me all the time, and about half maybe are new. So if you are new, there is a reason why many people come and watch me here. Okay? So maybe pay attention just for a little bit and just listen for a little while. Hello, Arwa. Hello, Language Warrior. Hello, Jean-Franc. You learned 2 other idioms. Jean-Franc, I can't bring you up right now, but I will in a little bit. Okay, or you can ask in the chat. Okay, but I got to answer some questions before I bring somebody on stage. Okay? Where is Mona Lisa? I don't know. I haven't seen Mona Lisa in a while either. Don't sell myself short. All right, well, fair enough. What do I think about the Cambridge certificate? You mean for which thing? You mean for English? The proficiency certificate? I don't know a lot about the Cambridge test, to be honest. But what I do know is it's supposed to be one of the harder tests. It's supposed to be closer to what a real native would know. That's what I've been told. But I don't really know that for sure. So that's just what I know from secondhand information. Okay, but it's supposed to be a difficult test, that's for sure. Do I play another instrument besides the drums? Wesley, I play a little bit of piano. If I want to write a song, then I'll write on the piano. But then my main instrument is drums. But drum set is my main instrument. But the thing is, when you're a drummer, being a drummer means that you have no instrument. Being a drummer is more like being a singer, because a singer doesn't have an instrument either, right? They just use their voice. Well, for a drummer, everything is an instrument. Right? I can play on anything, and that's a drum, right? So drum set is my main instrument, but if it's a drum, I'll play it. If it's a drum, I'll play it. Hello, Becca. The point of learning English is to think in English. Well, the point of learning a language depends on you. Everybody has a different motivation or reason for learning a language. But what I would say is thinking in a language is a very important part of knowing a language. And if you can't think in that language, then you don't really know it that well. So that's why, I teach my students that they should learn 8 different parts of language, that they should look at language like it has 8 parts, right? I call them the table legs, the 8 table legs of English. Reading, writing, listening, speaking, thinking, grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation. Those are the 8 parts of language. Okay? And thinking is the one part that I would say 90% of people never worked on because they never knew they should work on it. So the only reason why my method is interesting or different in any way is only because I want you to think about the language from the beginning. I don't want you to learn how to think in the language later. I want you to learn how to think from the beginning. Okay? Chuck Lorre Productions. Chuck Lorre is that's comedy. Anything by Chuck Lorre is going to be comedy. Yeah. Um, you cooked mango ice cream. What? What are you talking about? Did you made your own mango ice cream? We won't say cooked mango ice cream. We'll say made mango ice cream because when you make ice cream, usually you don't cook anything. You might mix things and you might use a machine that makes it cold, but you don't use anything that uses heat usually. Do I like ice cream? Yes, I do. Of course. Yes. You're a keyboardist. Okay, well, Yamin, guess what? Every musician has a big advantage in learning languages because learning a language is just like learning music. So think about learning English the way you think about learning music, and you'll do better. Okay? Is discomfort and being uncomfortable the same? Well, yes and no. They're different forms of the same word, right? So discomfort means that you are not comfortable. So yeah, but discomfort is a noun and uncomfortable is an adjective. Yeah. Okay. Do I know Kalsum? I don't know by name. I'm not sure. I might recognize a song if I heard it, but I'm not sure. Is a person inherently bad if they have learned a language from another country and use it to curse? Well, they're not inherently bad. Inherently means naturally within you, inborn. It's within you, inside, innately, inherently. So they're not inherently bad. Using curse words, some people think that using curse words is a very important part of learning another language. They do. They really do think it's an important part of being able to express yourself fully in another language. I think it's usually not necessary. Okay? Now, in my own language, I admit that I do use some bad words sometimes. Not here, never when I'm teaching. Never when I'm teaching, but in my own life, sure, I do. But I wouldn't want to use that same type of language in Chinese except under the rarest of circumstances. Only the rarest of circumstances would cause me to want to curse in Chinese. That's just my feeling. So I wouldn't waste your time. I wouldn't waste your time. But it's not inherently bad. It's natural to feel feelings, right? You have feelings. Sometimes you get angry, sometimes you get upset, sometimes you're embarrassed, and then when you get angry, you want to do something or say something. That's natural, okay? Having feelings, that's part of being human. What you do with your feelings, that's the difference between maturity and immaturity. So everybody has feelings. But how you handle your feelings is what separates you from being mature or being immature. Okay? Hello, Mona. Hello, Coco. Hello, Daryl. What's the difference between a ghost and a phantom? Alejandra, nothing in particular. Ghost is the more popular word, it's the most popular term. Phantom is not as common, but it means the same thing. There are many, many words that mean the same thing like this. For example, ghost, apparition, phantom, demon, devil, shadow, specter, vampire, banshee, kelpie, phantasm, poltergeist, revenant, shade, spook, wraith. Those are all words that are in the same family as ghost. And for some people in their mind, ghost and phantom are the same thing. Okay? But there is no appreciable difference that you need to worry about. Okay? Do I have any harmful habits? Is there something that I want to get rid of in my actions? Everybody has harmful habits. Or I would say everybody has habits that are less beneficial. Right? Malign habits. Habits that don't help you. They hurt you. Right? We all have those. I wish I got better sleep. I wish I was more attentive to my sleep. I wish I paid better attention to my health. I just don't. And yeah, that's probably it. Okay, if you have a question, then ask. Can I pronounce the word insatiable? Insatiable. To sate someone, S-A-T-E, it means to give them what they need so that they're content. Right? They are satiated. They've been satiated. So if someone is insatiable, that's not satiable. Satiable means able to be, you can give them something that will make them happy, right? That you can give them something that will make them content. That's a satiable person. But if you meet someone that is never happy, no matter what you give them, then that is an insatiable person. Insatiable. It's usually used to describe another feeling, right? Insatiable hunger, insatiable something that's, another feeling. Okay? If I rely heavily on AI to ask questions, do I no longer need to learn from others in real life situations? No, of course not. Of course not. Banana. Humans will always be a better source of real life direct knowledge. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about AI like I do. When I was in the 3rd grade, I went home with my report card from school. And on my report card, it said, Mark is a very inquisitive young boy. Inquisitive. And I didn't know what the word inquisitive meant. So I asked my mother, what does that mean, Mom? What's inquisitive mean? And she said, it means you ask too many questions. And that's true. I do. I ask a lot of questions. I'm a very, very curious person. I have a very curious mind. I want to know about things. So that's who I am. And now we have this new source of information. So before, if I wanted to know things, then I had to go get the book or go to the library or do some research. And that's still very, 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 very valuable. But the ease and accessibility of AI does not mean that it's somehow not valuable just because it's easy. You need to make sure that you don't use it like a crutch, right? So what's a crutch? A crutch is something you use to help you walk, right? When you break your leg, they give you crutches to walk with, right? But after your leg heals, you don't keep using the crutches, right? So that's what they're worried about. They're worried that many people will use AI and it will become like permanent crutches, that they're just always using these crutches. But for me, I would rather think about it more like I'm that third grade kid with the very inquisitive mind, and I always have questions. And now I have a place where I can go and I can ask those questions. And I can keep asking. And it's always there, 24 hours a day. I can always ask it. Now, should I trust everything that it says implicitly? Just, oh yeah, it says this, so that must be true? No, you have to have a very critical mind. If you have a very critical mind that only allows in exceptional truth, then you'll be fine. So what I mean is, many people who use AI, they have a lazy mind. So that means that they just listen to anything AI says and they say, oh, that must be true. But if you don't have a lazy mind, if you have a critical mind, then when you use AI, listen to it, but question it, doubt it, and make it prove it to you. Make it teach you why. Don't just ask it questions and get the answer. Make it prove it and show you why. If you do that, you'll be fine. But most people, they don't do that. They just want the quick answer, so they become dumber. Because now they're using AI like a permanent set of crutches. Okay? All right. For listening, should we listen? Can wants to know. For listening, should we listen to the same things over and over again or listen to different things? Both. Both have value. Okay? So don't consider whether these two things are an either or. Do both, right? So when you listen to the same thing again and again and again and again, you learn how to listen more carefully. You learn how to fix smaller mistakes. You focus on the details more, right? But when you listen to different things, now you're working on a different skill. Now you have to test your ears to see if your ears are fast enough to listen. Are they fast enough to understand, right? So when you're practicing listening, you want to find as many ways to practice listening as you can. And if some of the time when you're listening, it's the same, that's good. That's one kind of practice. And if some of the time that you're listening, it's different, that's another kind of practice. So it's just like in music. Sometimes when I listen to a song, I have to listen to that song 100 times or 1,000 times so that I can learn that song. But then I also like to put on different music that I've never heard before to test my abilities to hear the music and try to improvise immediately. That's a very different skill. They're both valuable. Okay? Rolls-Royce uses synonyms of phantom in its name of cars. Right. That's correct. Yes, that's right. There are all kinds of ghosts. That's right. Yeah. You want to ask me questions, so how can you move from the intermediate level to the upper intermediate level? Especially, can you give me... Okay, so Hossam, when you're learning, in the beginning, when you learn, everything comes in big, big leaps. You're like, oh, wow, I'm getting better. Wow, this is amazing. But the more you learn, those steps get smaller and smaller. And eventually those steps feel like they're so small that you feel like you're not going anywhere. You feel like it's flat. This is called plateauing in English. The word plateau, P-L-A-T-E-A-U, a plateau is a flat area of land. It's usually a high, flat area of land. It's called a plateau. All right? So that's an actual term in geography. Okay? A plateau is a type of land. Okay? But a plateau is also the word that we use when we're talking about learning, when you feel like your learning progress has flattened, like you're not making any progress anymore. That's called plateauing. You're plateauing now. So how do we fix that? In my experience, plateauing usually happens for two reasons. One, because you're not pushing yourself enough to do something harder. Learning is a process of growing. Growing means you must reach. You have to reach, okay? So if you go to the gym and you always use the same small weight, are you going to get any progress? If you use the same tiny little weight? No, you won't. In order to get progress, you have to push yourself. So you have to add more weight, right? The same thing is true with learning. You have to push yourself so that you're progressing. If you're not pushing yourself, you won't progress. So it should feel hard, and if it doesn't feel hard, that's why you're not progressing, because you're not reaching. Okay, so that's the first thing I would say. One moment, guys. Please be patient. And then the second reason why people plateau is because they are using the same sources of learning, and those sources of learning are empty now. They're tapped out, which means that you have learned everything you can from those sources. So now you're not learning anything new, right? So maybe you have a book, you have an English book, and you use that book, but you're not making any more progress because you're using the same book. Get a new book, get a different book, a completely different book. It could be a different book about the same topic, right? So maybe you have one vocabulary book already. Great. Get another one, a different one. Change the way you learn, and you will progress again. Okay? So plateauing happens because people are not pushing themselves enough, and plateauing happens because you're using the same resources to learn, and you're not getting anything new from those resources. So find some new resources and change the resources that you're using. Then you'll have new input, then you'll have new learning. Okay, new growth. All right. I am the godfather of English language. That's funny. Hello, Johnny, how are you? You read an interesting story about Shakespeare. Why did he write that curse on his tombstone? I don't remember about this story. I remember learning it, but I can't remember what it was. Let's see. One moment. Oh, interesting. Okay, so why did Shakespeare write on his tombstone this quote? He had this quote on his tombstone that he wrote. Good friend, for Jesus' sake forbear to dig the dust enclosed here. Blessed be the man that spares these stones, and cursed be he that moves my bones. While the grave itself only bears this foreboding curse, other famous lines from his plays are okay. Yeah, so that's the line, right? And it just says that you'll be cursed if you move my bones. And the reason why he felt that way was because at that time, it was actually very common for people to not rob the graves. He wasn't worried about people stealing his bones or stealing his things. It's because in that time, they used to recycle cemeteries. So they would dig you up and move you. Right? They would move the cemetery, so they would move all the bodies, and he didn't want to be moved, so he was saying, if you move me, you'll be cursed. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Which is more dangerous, AI or social media? Social media. Absolutely. Social media is pernicious. It's absolutely poisonous. It's cancerous. I mean, if you use it, you should be understanding that it is like a drug. So you need to figure out a way to use it that won't ruin you. Okay, you've seen people using AI to learn English. Is it okay to use it? However, when it comes to speaking, you have to use your mind. So yeah, guys. A carpenter has tools, right? He has a hammer, he has nails, he has a saw, he has a ruler, right? He has many, many tools. Now, he doesn't have any tools that he doesn't need, but if he finds a tool that's very useful, he will use it. Right? So, should you use AI for learning? You should. You just have to learn how to use it properly. Just like a saw, if you don't use a saw properly, you'll hurt yourself. If you don't use a hammer properly, you will hurt yourself. Okay, so using AI is okay, but it's a tool. And if you use a tool the wrong way, you will hurt yourself. Okay? What's the difference between critical versus logical versus creative thinking? Critical thinking means doubt. Critical thinking means doubt whatever you're looking at and doubt it because doubt has purpose. Doubt for the purpose of better understanding is a good thing, right? So you should doubt. That is what having a critical mind means. To doubt for the purpose of better understanding. That's what a critical mind is, okay? A logical mind just means it makes sense. It's mathematically sensible, right? 2 + 2 = 4. That's logic. It's like math. Okay? But sometimes people will do things in life that don't seem like 2 plus 2 equals 4. Right? So many people will do things that are not logical. Okay? Creative is about your ability to think of possibility. Okay? Creativity is the art of possibility. Okay? To have a creative mind means some people are only able to think of this that could happen, but some people could think of this that could happen. So the capability of being able to imagine more means that you have more creativity. Okay? Now, then you have to combine creativity with being clever in order to use your grand view of things well, right? Creativity without a little bit of intelligence is actually not so useful. So creativity requires a little bit of practicality. Among and amongst are used interchangeably. Are they used interchangeably? No, I wouldn't say they're used interchangeably. No. Amongst is not as common. Okay? It sounds more formal, like too formal, right? So, if I say we were hanging out among the people, that sounds common. If I say we were hanging out amongst the people, now it sounds like I'm Shakespeare. Okay? So amongst is not that common. Just stick with among most of the time. Okay? You know, that's a word I'd like to look at. Let me see. Where does that word come from? Among, in the midst of, among, among, among. In the crowd or a company of is what it means. Gemengen. Oh, that's interesting. The word among comes from a German word, gemengen, which means to mingle. To mingle. Like mingling is what we say when you go to a party and you talk to people, you walk around and you talk to all the people, that's mingling. So it's interesting because when you mingle, you are among the people. To be in the middle of, the midst of. Okay? For saying flat, do you think the earth is flat? No. And that's the end of that. I'm pushing myself to learn new vocabulary and new idioms by reading and watching the news. Okay, that's good, John Frank. That's good. Okay, welcome, Ava. Did I buy SpaceX stocks? No, I did not. Ventura, it's not my birthday. I don't know why you think it's my birthday. Does it say it's my birthday? It's not my birthday. Ooh, that's a hard question. What can a person do to build a better future if they are born into a poor family and don't want to live the same life as their parents? That's a very, 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 very hard question to answer. And any answer that I give you is not... I can only tell you something in the most general way because I don't really know you. I don't know your parents. I don't know your family or your situation. But what I can say is that throughout history, people who want to change their circumstances, moving is one of the easiest ways to change your circumstances. It's happened throughout history. Throughout history, hundreds, thousands of years. I'm not happy here, so I'm going to move to find someplace else where I can be happy. Okay? So, my grandfather was a poor, he was a gravedigger in Slovakia a long time ago. And he came to the United States to try to find a better life, a better job, better work, so that he could have a different life from the other people, right? So my grandfather came to America, but his brother stayed in Slovakia. And I still have family in Slovakia, and they still live in this very small town that's like 700 or 800 people. It's very small. Now, is that bad? No, it's not bad necessarily. No, in some ways it's very good. But my grandfather moved, and he was able to change his circumstances. He got a better job. He was able to buy a house, have a family, put his kids through college. Okay? So what I would say is the only general advice that I can give you is throughout history, when people feel like they're stuck in a place where their life is only going to be the same, move. What do they say? We have a saying. Let me think of how it goes. If you can't change the people around you, then change the people around you. That's what they say. I love that. That's a great quote. If you can't change the people around you, like they won't listen to you, so they won't change, then change the people around you. Move. Now you have different people around you. Okay? So if you can't change the people around you, then change the people around you. Okay, let's see. Why do Americans prefer football in common instead of soccer? Have I ever played soccer? So, yes, it's a weird thing, Alexander. I would say most American boys, especially in the Midwest, we all played soccer. I was quite good. I loved playing soccer. Soccer is actually one of the only sports that I actually did kind of like playing. I enjoyed it. I played basketball, I played baseball, and I played soccer. Soccer was the one I really liked. Okay? So all of us play soccer when we're kids. We're all on soccer teams, and we play games, and on the weekends, the parents all come out and watch the games and everything. So when we're young, we play soccer and we like soccer. But it's this weird thing. I don't know how to explain it. But as a professional sport, it's just not the same here. So lots of American kids play soccer, and we know soccer. Okay? I could join a game and play and know the rules, no problem. Okay? But for whatever reason, professionally, historically, baseball, American football, and basketball are the three biggest sports in America. Yeah, I was actually pretty good at soccer. Where does the word regalia come from? Regalia is another word that's related to the letters reg. Reg comes from the root, I think it's regis. Let me check. It means regal. It means royal. It means like a king. Regalia is, yeah, related to the letters rex. So, Chi, do you know the dinosaur Tyrannosaurus Rex? T Rex? Have you ever heard of T Rex? Tyrannosaurus Rex, the big, scary dinosaur. The Rex, that means king. Tyrannosaurus. Tyranno means terrible. Saurus means lizard. Rex means king. So Tyrannosaurus Rex means terrible lizard king. And the word regalia is related to the word rex. It means king or like a king. Okay? The rights and the powers of a king. That's the regalia. There are many words: regiment, regal, region. All of those are words that are related to the king. Okay, wait a minute. It looks like there are some people who don't understand. I am answering questions. Some of these questions are simple questions and they're easy. Some of these questions are very difficult questions and they're advanced. It's okay if you don't understand everything. You don't need to understand everything. But maybe you should ask a question that's one you need me to answer. Right? You need me to answer, and then I'll answer it. Right? Ask your questions. Right? What are you confused by, Jabber? What's the difference between a college and a university in the U.S.? Nothing. Nothing. We use those two words interchangeably in the U.S. Okay, I'm going to college. Where are you going to? Did you choose a university? Did you choose a college? That's the same in the U.S. Okay. Yeah, golf is also popular here, but golf is definitely a sport for the rich. It is. It's a sport for the rich. It's not like you see a lot of poor kids playing golf. As a matter of fact, that would be the one thing they would hate. Can you imagine if just a bunch of, like, what if like 10 busloads of kids from like the poorest school or poorest area in town just showed up at like the rich golf course and, they wanted to play? Yeah, they would hate that. They like golf has a history of, let's call it whitewashing. Okay. In China, it's basketball, ping pong, and badminton, maybe? Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Okay. Do I follow football tournaments nowadays? I don't follow any sports ever. Purse, uh, Preserve versus conserve. So the words you're looking for are preserve, not perserve. Preserve and conserve. Let me think, what's the right answer? So to preserve something means to keep it nice, keep it fresh for a long time. So for example, food. When you make food, they usually put a lot of salt in the food. The reason they put salt in food is because salt is a preservative. If food has salt in it, then the salt will keep the food longer. It preserves it. Okay, it keeps it fresh longer. Conserve means to save more, right? So conserving your energy means don't use more energy than you need to. Be efficient, right? So conservation is about efficiency or about limitations. Preservation is about keeping something nice, okay, for a longer period of time. Hello, Giuseppe. You feel English is too hard. English is like music, Dreamer. So, Dreamer, is music too hard? Do you listen to music? Or do you think music is too hard? You listen to some music, right, Dreamer? Some music is easy to listen to, right? But some music is very difficult to listen to, right? That's the same way that language is. So don't be afraid of the language. You said English is too hard. No, it's just like music. It takes time before you sound really good. But everyone should try to make music. And everyone should try to make language. Okay, let's see. Why does mortgage in America, why can you do it a second time? Yeah, that's kind of a complicated question to answer. It's about leveraging the value that you've invested in your house. It's not a good idea as far as what I think. I don't think it's a good idea. I think it's a terrible idea. But it's an economic move that some people make towards the end of their life when they feel like the value of their house might be worth more if they take a second mortgage to use that money for something else that they need, right? So maybe they feel that that's worth it. But in general, I don't think it's a good idea. What's the difference between wit and wisdom? Wisdom is knowledge plus experience over time. Knowledge and experience over time, that's wisdom. Wit is just, it's like I would say wit is intelligence, but it's a quickness of intelligence. So if someone is witty, if we say, oh, he's very witty, that means he says funny things quickly, right? So something happens and then he says something funny like that. That's a witty person, okay? So to have wit means that your mind is quick and sharp, right? So that's why we also say maybe you wake up in the morning and you're tired, right? And you're not really awake yet. So what we say is, I didn't have my wits about me yet. I didn't have my wits yet. It means that I wasn't thinking clearly or sharply yet. Okay? And canned food is also used for preservation. That's right. We have to preserve our culture to conserve it. Yes and no. Kairav, that's a tricky thing. Yes, to some degree, you have to preserve some historical aspects of culture. That's what we call tradition. But culture is not static. It means culture is always changing. Culture has to change. Culture is music, so we have new music that's always being made. Culture is language. We have new language that's always being made. New poems, new books, new movies, new stories that are being written, right? That's new, right? So culture doesn't stand still. So when people talk about preserving their culture, it's kind of weird because that's like you're trying to stop history and keep it still. But history is in the past. So culture is the kind of thing that you want to preserve some knowledge of the past, but you also need to pay attention to the now and the future of your culture. Why do we write the letter K in the word knife if we don't pronounce it? Because we did used to pronounce it. Most of those words that have a KN, they were pronounced with the KN. All of the KN words, those come from Nordic languages, okay, the Northern Europeans. So if you go to Northern Europe, maybe you'll meet a guy and his name is Knut. Knut. And that's how they pronounce it. K-N-U. Well, it's supposed to be with an umlaut. But Knut. That's a fairly common man's name in Northern Europe. Okay? In a few countries in Northern Europe. Okay? So that's how they used to pronounce it. So the word knife, actually, many of those words, they did used to pronounce the K in it. In particular, the word knife was originally knif. Knif. That's the original pronunciation was more like knif. But over time, language changes. Okay, let's see. I really need to find a way to decrease my video quality so people with low speed internet access can be able to watch smoothly. So Cass, that has nothing to do with me. That's HelloTalk. I have no control over that. Like, put it this way. If I lower my video quality, that won't change anything for you. Because my live stream is running through the HelloTalk app. So all of the speed, video quality, everything is determined by them, not by by me. Okay, so if you're having trouble, talk to HelloTalk, not me. I'm just a guy who's using HelloTalk. Where was I hired? I didn't hire Susu, but I did ask her to moderate for me. Yes. I assigned her to be my moderator. How can you more easily understand and get used to the natural use of verb tenses in spoken English? That's a hard one. There is no easy answer for that, Karina. language is a funny thing. Many people, they don't use many of the tenses because they don't need to in their lives. Their lives are simple and their language is simple, so they use mostly simple language or simple tensing. But not everyone is that way, right? And many people actually just don't know what the right way to use it is, so they use it incorrectly or use them incorrectly. But honestly, Karina, feeling like verb tenses are natural can only happen with familiarity. You have to become familiar with them. So, Karina, how do you become familiar with a person? How do you become familiar with a person? If you want to become more familiar with a person, you spend more time with them, right? You spend more time with them. So, if you want to get to know the tenses better, spend more time with them. Okay? Okay, let's see. A better solution would be to speak with Elon Musk. Well, I don't think he's taking calls. Could I write the sentence that we use when you're waking up? Oh, what did I say? I don't even know. I don't have my wits about me. I think that's what it was. It's kind of an old way that says you're telling somebody that you are somehow not, you're not awake, you're not clear-headed, you're not clear-minded yet. Okay? How can we use should in daily conversational English instead of if or when? Well, those are different things. Should is telling you what is going to happen, a prediction, or what you think someone ought to do. So ought and should are really the same meaning, right? So when we say he should sleep more, he should study more, she should eat better, right? That's advice. It's a suggestion, a recommendation. Okay? It should be clear tomorrow. It should be hot tomorrow. So that means you're predicting what might happen for the weather tomorrow. Okay? There's a page that I'll recommend to you. Let me find it for you. This is a really great page that explains everything about how to use should. Okay, Woodward English has a great lesson. There's a video, there's an entire explanation that tells you all about how to use should and when to use should, giving advice to express a situation that's likely to happen in the future or the present, like a prediction, or to express an obligation like must. Okay, almost like the word must, right? Okay, there are a bunch of ways to use it, and they have this really great look at this. Take a screenshot of this. Let me see if I can make it fit the screen. There you go. Take a picture of that, okay? How to use should for advice and suggestions for situations likely in the present or likely in the future, okay? Right here. All right. Next question. Is it good for us to watch movies with subtitles or not? Yes and no. Mahdi, if you're going to watch a movie, watching a movie is not education. Watching a movie is entertainment. If you take a class in English, they do not play movies in class because movies are not for education, movies are for entertainment. Now, can you make a movie educational? Can you make it into an educational environment or an educational material? You can, but you have to do something. So what I tell people is choose a movie, or better if you choose a TV show, because TV shows are shorter. Like a 30-minute TV show is perfect. Find a TV show that you like that's 30 minutes and then watch it. But you have to watch that show 5 times. The first time you watch the show, you watch it with no subtitles. Just try to watch and listen and see if you can understand anything. The second time you watch, you can turn those subtitles on and watch the show and see what you understand now with the subtitles. The third time you watch, you can download the transcript. Every American TV show and movie and podcast has a free transcript available online. All you have to do is search for it and download it. Okay, so find the TV show that you like, then do a search online for that TV show and type in the word transcript. What is a transcript? It means all the words that the people say in that TV show, they print it out for you so that you can hold it. And now you can make notes. All right? So if you have a printout and you can make notes, now you're studying. Now that movie or TV show has become educational material. All right? So I said watch it 5 times. The first time with no help, no subtitles. The second time with subtitles. The third time with the transcript, and you make notes. The fourth time with just subtitles again. And the fifth time, again, with nothing. Now you should have learned something. Okay? That's a way to make a movie educational. But if you don't do that process, then it's not educational. You're not learning. You're just watching movies. Don't tell people that I practice English every day because I watch Fast and Furious 5 times. You know, I watched Fast and Furious 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. I watched all those movies. I'm practicing my English. No. No, you are not. You are not practicing your English just by watching English TV shows or movies. That is not practicing. That's just watching. That's entertainment. All right? If you want to make a TV show educational, then you have to make it educational. You have to create a process that will turn that into an educational experience. Okay? But if you did not do that, then you're not practicing English. You're just watching TV. All right. Let's see. What do I do for a living? I'm a teacher. Is it same like the name? What? I don't know what that means. Okay, well, you're welcome, Cass. Can I explain the usage of within? Okay. Within is talking about inside something, right? So courage is something that's within you, right? Bravery is something within you. You have to have bravery inside, it's within you, right? Okay. Or if I give you a present, okay, if I give you a present, here's my present to you. Within this box are 64 crayons. Within, inside. Okay? Within means inside. Do I think one day you could do a role play for a job interview in the live stream? Sure. As a matter of fact, I actually did prepare something like that a long time ago. Just never did it. But yes, Sean Frank, I'll put that back on my list. I'll see if I can do. I'll prepare a stream where we can maybe do job interview, mock role plays. Okay. Okay, let's see. Why is it cloud 9 and not another number? So in English, there's an idiom that we say, I'm on cloud 9. I'm on cloud 9, and that means I'm really, really, really happy. Okay? Now, she's asking, Flavia is asking, why is it cloud 9 and not some other number like cloud 8 or cloud 7? Well, there is a good reason. When they were creating the scientific names and designations of all the different kinds of clouds in science, the ninth cloud that they designated, the ninth cloud that they named, is the biggest cloud that you can get. It's called a cumulonimbus cloud. The cumulonimbus cloud is the big, big, puffy clouds that you see in the sky. Those are cumulonimbus clouds. So when we say I'm on cloud 9, it means I'm so happy that it's like I'm floating on that big, big, puffy cloud in the sky. Okay, so cumulonimbus is the ninth cloud, and it's the biggest one. Okay? That's why it's cloud 9. Okay, let's see. The more languages you speak, the more human you become. Absolutely. 100%. Yes. Because every time you learn another language, or not just a language, but when you learn about other cultures, language is just one way to experience other cultures, right? So when you learn about any other culture, you become more human because you experience what that part of humanity thinks culture is, right? And language is a very unique part of culture because language shows how you think. So Chinese is very different than English. The grammar is very different, and the logic is very different. And if you think about why, then you can understand more about that culture. You can understand more about the way that they are as people, and that's an act of empathy. So language learning is an act of empathy because when you learn any language, even when you're a baby, and you learn apple, the way that you learn that is empathetically. Someone taught you that it was an apple. Someone had an apple and they were eating and they said apple. So you're experiencing the word apple through someone else. That's empathy. So learning a language is an act of empathy. Learning itself is an act of empathy, but in particular, language. Should you change your mind, let me know. Should you need any help, just call me. No. Kairov, in that sentence, they just dropped the word if from the beginning. So the proper sentence would be, if you should change your mind, or if you should need any help, let me know. So in this case, it's saying if you find that you need any help. If you find that you need any help, if you should need any help, if you should change your mind, if you find that you change your mind, okay? You think Wittgenstein stole it from your people? You think Wittgenstein stole what? Oh, you mean that quote? Was that a Wittgenstein? Oh, it maybe. I'm not sure. How can you use the word atrocious naturally? Atrocious is a word that means really, really terrible. Usually, terrible quality, terrible taste, terrible sound, terrible value, terrible something. Okay, so let me see. Examples of atrocious things. Okay, so the word atrocious has two ways to use it. One way is a literal way, which means that it means terrible, like war is atrocious. Okay, war is atrocious. It's terrible. We shouldn't be doing it. Okay, but sometimes we use words with what's called a little bit of hyperbole, hyperbolic, which means maybe you'll eat dinner at a restaurant and you'll be like, oh, the food was atrocious. Okay, or maybe your mom will see your room is messy and your mom will say, oh, your room is atrocious. That's called being hyperbolic. So the word atrocious usually is used to talk about really, really terrible things like war. But people like to use exaggerated words sometimes in casual situations, like your mom talking about your room or talking about a meal at a restaurant. Okay? Or the other, I'll tell you what, there is another way that I've heard that word used, talking about pronunciation. Sometimes somebody has a pronunciation that's so terrible that you might say their pronunciation is atrocious. It means really, really bad. Okay? And I want to look up that word to see where it comes from, just so that I know it for the future. Atrocious. Atrocious comes from the word atrocity. Atrocity comes from the Latin word atrocitatem, atrocitas, which means cruelty or fierceness or harshness. So the word atrocity actually means to see fire. So it's like something that's so terrible and cruel and frightful. Like imagine if your whole city was burning. That would be atrocious. That's an atrocity. Okay? If I'm listening with your live streams, which should I do for listening? Is it better for learning English with subtitles or without? Rena, I think that you can do a little bit of both. Okay? I think you can test yourself sometimes by trying to not use the subtitles, but sometimes you can use them and see if it's easier or not. Right? So when you are learning, let me think of a good way to put this. Let me think for just 1 minute. Okay. I'm going to try to explain an idea. This idea is called permutation. Permutation means very small changes in something. So that means that you're creating a sequence of many, 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 many things that are all almost the same, but not the same. They're all just a little bit different. Okay? That's called a permutation. And the thing that's nice about permutation is if you know what permutation is and if you understand how to use it, then it's a good technique in learning. Because what you can do is try to find as many ways to do the same thing as you can in a slightly different way. Permutate it. Okay? So what that means is, for example, if I want to learn how to say a sentence or a quote, let's say a quote, right? Like one of my favorite quotes is this one. This is one of my favorite quotes. All of your anxiety comes from seeking harmony. Seek disharmony and you will find peace. So, if I want to practice that and memorize it and say it really correctly, to learn how to really feel like I really know that really well, like I when I say it, it's perfect every time. I can practice a method like this. I start with just one word. I start with the word all. All. Does my all sound good? Does the all sound good, everybody? You're just focused on one word, so now you just want to listen to that one word. Does it sound good? The word all. Is it comfortable? Is it relaxed? And does it sound good? If it does, then you can move to the next word. So now I'll say all of, all of, all of. And I'll practice that again and again and again until that feels good and sounds good and is comfortable and in control. And then I'll add the next word, all of your anxiety, all of your anxiety, all of your anxiety. I will say that again and again and again until I feel comfortable and in control and and relaxed. And if I feel comfortable and controlled and relaxed, then I can move to the next word. This is called permutation. If you practice that sentence that way, think about how much practicing you're doing. Do you understand that this is a way of repetitious practice so that you practice more? Right? Okay, so this is a system that many, many musicians use. If we want to learn something, then we'll do it this way. This is one of our methods. Okay? So, let's see. So, when you say, is it better to listen with subtitles or without, I say you should do both. Sometimes you should do it with, sometimes you should do it without, sometimes you should do it with a transcript. That's permutation. I'm finding many ways to do the same thing slightly differently. That way I don't get bored, and that way I get a lot of practice and repetition. Okay? What's the difference between if and whether? Let's see. So whether is when we have a choice, right? When you have a choice of something or an alternative, like let me know whether you want me to pick you up on Friday or on Saturday. That's a choice between Friday and Saturday, whether you want Friday or whether you want Saturday, okay? Or you can say whether before an infinitive, like I don't know whether I should call her. I don't know whether I should call her, or whether to call or not call. Let's say that. I don't know whether to call or not call. That's a way to use whether. Or they argued about whether they should go or not. They argued about whether they should go. All right, now that one is almost the same as if, right? But if is for conditions, right? If is for conditions. If I blah, 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 then I blah, 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 right? Or if is for general things that you're not sure about. Things that you're not sure about, not certain. So I don't know if I have time to go. I don't know if I have time to go. Okay? So sometimes they are interchangeable, though. So if you're introducing a question like, I'm not sure if they will arrive on time, you could also say, I'm not sure whether they would arrive on time, and that's completely interchangeable. So if and whether are a little tricky, because sometimes they are interchangeable, but not all the time. They're interchangeable when it's an indirect question, then it's interchangeable. Okay? Okay. If you are new, hi. My name is Teacher Mark. I'm not new. I've been here a long time. I've been on this app for more than 12 years, almost 13 years. I've been live streaming for 4 or 5 years, something like that, about 5, I think. I have about 90,000 followers here on Hello Talk. And they follow me because I'm a teacher. I teach, okay? And I'm here 5 days a week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm here and I'm teaching. But I don't get paid. I'm not paid for any of this. Okay, I don't get any money from Hello Talk for this. So, what does that mean? What that means is I am a teacher, so you can ask me questions. So that's all you have to do. You have to ask me the questions. I'm not going to teach you because that's what I do for my job. So I have to be paid for that. If you want me to teach a class, then I have to be paid, right? But if you want to learn here, you can come here and you can ask me questions. So Thomas, hello Thomas, how can I learn English? Thomas, you're from Bangladesh. How can I learn Bangladeshi? Thomas, can you answer that question for me? How can I learn Bangladeshi? Please answer that in 2 sentences. Thomas, if you want to learn English, come here, listen, and ask questions. Okay? Ask good questions. How can I learn English is not a good question. People write books about that. If somebody has to write a book about it to answer you, then your question is not a good question. Okay, so think of a question that's smaller. How can I learn English? Get a book that says English. Then read it. That's how you can learn English. Get an English book. Okay, so Thomas, if you want to learn here, come here and listen to the questions that people ask and pay attention and ask the right questions, Thomas. Ask the right questions, okay? But Thomas, you have to study yourself. This is a room for people who self-study. You self-study, then you have questions, then you come to me. Okay? Okay, let's see. Permutation, that's right. You want to set up a computer system. What equipment do I have? I don't even know, man. A friend of mine got this all set up for me. My computer is... let's see. It's a 12th gen Intel Core i9. And then, you know, it has RAM and all that stuff. So it's an i9 machine, which I bought because you have to have one for streaming. Streaming is like, if you want to do live streaming, the machines that they build for live streaming are the same machines that they make for gaming. So I don't play video games at all, but I have an amazing video game computer. The magic you're looking for is in the work you're avoiding. Ooh, that's a good one. I like that one, Alexander. That's a good one. Okay, so I have a question. That's a good question. Somebody said, is shadowing good? Shadowing is good if you shadow the right person. What is a shadow? What is a shadow? a shadow is the thing that follows behind you. When the sun hits you, you have a shadow, right? So the shadow follows you. Everywhere you go, that shadow is following you, right? So the idea of a shadow means, wow, that guy's really good. I should watch him to see why. Why is he so good? What makes that guy so good? That's what shadowing is. All shadowing is you're finding someone good, and then you study them and look at them and listen to them and watch them and learn, why are they good? Is it their vocabulary? Is it their pronunciation? Is it their grammar? Is it their body language or their energy? What is it about them that makes them better than you? That's what shadowing is. So, is shadowing good? Yes, if you shadow someone good. If you shadow the wrong person, shadowing is not good because you will learn the wrong things. And this happens a lot because when people go online, if you go on TikTok or you go on YouTube, most of you're not looking for somebody who speaks well. You're looking for somebody who's cool. That's right. You're looking for some guy who's really cool. Wow, that guy is so cool. I like him. He's so cool. She's so cool. Okay, great. They're cool. You like them. They're cool. But guess what? That has nothing to do with speaking well. So this is the first mistake that people make, is that sometimes they find somebody on YouTube and they say, that person's really cool. They're so cool. I wish I were like them. But you're paying attention to the wrong things. You have to listen to the way they speak. Is their grammar correct? Is their vocabulary good? Is their pronunciation good? Is their language really good or not? Maybe not. You know? So what I would tell you is that's the first mistake and the biggest mistake people make with shadowing, is you shadow the wrong person. How do you know who is the right person? It's actually very easy. Okay, I'll tell you. When I was younger, I'm a drummer, right? I play the drums. And sometimes I go into a music store and I'll hear somebody playing guitar. And usually when I hear somebody in the music store and they're playing guitar, it's like, please stop. I don't want to hear that. But every once in a while, you find somebody who plays guitar, and when you hear them, you go, oh man, I want to hear more of that. Whatever that is, I want to hear more of that. Not because it's cool, because it's musical. So that's what you should feel. If you find someone who speaks really, really, really well, then that's what you'll feel. You'll be like, oh, wow, I want to hear more of that. I don't care what they're talking about. Whatever it is, I want to hear more about it. That's who you should shadow. Somebody that makes you feel like that. Okay? All right. Let's see. How to be better at understanding fast native speakers, Charlie wants to know. Charlie, this is a good question too. Sometimes people speak fast. So Charlie, I'm going to tell you to do the same thing that I do in Chinese. Sometimes I speak Chinese and people will say, wow, his Chinese is really good. And then they speak to me and they say, And that's when I say, 不好意思，我的英文就是不好，我的英文不好，请可以说慢一点吗？ Or maybe I just say 不好意思，请可以说慢一点吗? And for everybody else out here, in Chinese, I'm saying, I'm so sorry, my English is bad. Can you slow down, please? All right? And that's what you can say in English. Don't be afraid to just tell somebody, slow down. All right? So if somebody starts speaking too fast to you, then you have to tell them, slow down, please. All right? That's all. Just ask them to slow down. Now, can you practice listening for speed? You can. There are ways to do that. There are easy ways to do that now. If you go to YouTube right now, on YouTube, you can control the speed of playback. So you can slow it down to 75%. Right? And then you can listen at 75% and say, oh, wow, look, I can understand at 75%. And then you can speed it up to 150% and see if you can understand when it's at 150. Okay? All right. Do I have a YouTube channel? Yes, I do. I'm going to give you all of my information right now. Please be patient. Like I said, or as I said earlier, I have been on this app for a long time, and I have about 90,000 followers. So I made this file because I have so many people who ask me questions. Who are you, and what are you doing, and when's your schedule, and all of that. So my schedule and my background and my YouTube channel and my blog and my website, everything is in that file. Okay? So copy that link and paste it to your browser and open it. If you are Chinese, then you can't probably open it unless you have a VPN. Okay? All right, let's see. Please be patient. How do I know if I'm learning from the right person or if my way of learning is correct? That's a pretty good question. Asking the question is a good start. Many people don't even ask. How do you know if you're learning from the right person? Learning is something that you do all the time. Whether you're learning from somebody good or from somebody bad, sometimes you learn from people because they're bad, right? We learn what not to do, right? It's called a cautionary tale. But you should look for the people who inspire you to want to learn or know more. Through your life, you will meet some people who have a certain energy that their energy makes you want to do more. That's the right person to study with. A good teacher inspires just by being a teacher. They are inspiration. The way they teach is inspiring. It makes people want to learn. So, if your teacher makes you want to learn, then you're with the right teacher. Okay? Now, how do you know if your way of learning is correct? Learning is something that you have to be studying all the time. You have to consider your way of learning. You have to consider what might be a better way or another way. Okay? And you should learn the methods of learning of other people to see if those methods might be useful for you. Okay? Okay. If you want my YouTube, yeah, there's my YouTube right there. Okay? Please be patient. I'm so sorry. I'm missing a bunch of comments. What did Beyond say? I'm missing some stuff here. Beyond, yeah. What's this? I'm good at metaphors. Well, teachers are supposed to be good at metaphors. That's kind of an important part of teaching. I'm a really fun teacher. Well, that's what I'm talking about. Like, if you enjoy learning, then you're with a good teacher. That's not hard to say. Now, learning is not always fun, fun, fun. Learning is difficult, and it requires discipline and dedication, and it can be stressful, right? It's not all just fun, fun, fun. But whenever possible, learning should be fun. Whenever you can make it fun, you should, right? Learning is it's a journey of exploration. Exploring should be fun a lot of the time. Okay? Wow, look at you. You know all my metaphors. Learning is like climbing a mountain. You can't put all the wood on one fire. You need to clean the table every day. Yeah, those are all my metaphors. Yeah, that's good. Okay, in my experience, what differentiates students who reach fluency from those who plateau even after years of studying? That's a hard one. Let me think about that. Fluency, Nadia, is a word that I don't like. I think you've probably heard me say that before. I don't like the word fluent because you can't define it, right? Everybody is different fluently, right? So if I get 10 people in a room and I say, "Are you fluent?" and they all say, "Yes, I'm fluent," they might all be right, but those 10 people, do they all know the same information? No. So that's why fluency is weird. How can you define it if you can't categorize it or label it or, achieve it? Right? If you can't label it and say it is this, then you can't achieve it, right? So, fluency, the word fluency is more about being comfortable and relaxed when you do it, right? So think about it like music. When you first sit down to play the piano, it's very, very weird and difficult and hard and awkward, and it's not good. But the more you do it, the more musical it gets, right? And that's the way learning a language is. Eventually, you reach a point where you can make music and you're comfortable. You know some songs. And they're simple songs, but they're good songs. And lots of people know those songs, and they like those songs. That's the comfort of language, is what we usually call fluency. Okay? So what I would say is it's just like being a musician. You're never done. You're just always trying to make it prettier. Okay? And it can never be pretty enough. Most people say that you need to think in English, but how can I do that? Okay, I'm going to give you an article that I wrote about how to do that. You're in luck. I have an article right here. This is my method for how to think in English, right there. Okay, read that. Okay. Okay, let's see. Sometimes I watch your YouTube channel. Do I answer the questions there? I do, yeah. Like I see Nora said hi. Yep, I try to. Yeah, sometimes I get a little bit distracted with my Hello Talk feed that I don't pay attention enough to my YouTube people, but I do try to go over here and see my comments and say hello to my YouTube people. So yes, if you write a question in YouTube, I should see it, I should answer it, and if I don't, then I'm sorry, and I'll try to be better about that, okay? It's not just the speed, but also the way they speak. Right, that's correct. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so Thomas, you also need to read the article that I just put. If you can listen and you can understand, but you can't speak, it's because you can't think in English well. So you need to start practicing thinking with English. And if you think with English, then thinking is like preparing. Thinking is being ready. So if you're always thinking in your native language and you're never thinking in English, then your English is never ready. But if you think in English sometimes, then that means your English is more ready. So if someone speaks to you, your English is there. Ah, I can use it because I've been thinking. But if you never think, then someone speaks English to you and you go, oh, you panic. The best way of using English is to speak, but most of us spend so much time doing input without speaking. In this case, how to practice output. Charlie, the best way to practice language is actually not speaking, not thinking, not reading, and not listening. The best way to practice language begins with thinking. Thinking. So again, Charlie, use a VPN and read that article right there. That article that I put, that's my article that I wrote about how to think in English and why the word fluency is a myth. The word fluency doesn't really exist, right? Because of what I said. Like, if you get 10 people in a room and they are all fluent, they have different vocabulary, different accents, different levels of grammar, different pronunciation. So how can they all be fluent if they're all different? That's why the word fluent is not actually a useful word. Okay? Okay, and yes, my schedule is also in my PDF, and my PDF is right here. This is my PDF file right there. That's everything you need to know about me. It's in that file. Okay? And Susu, I'm going to look at that Chinese version that you made for me later today. I'm sure it's fine, and I'll probably start trying to use that soon too for all the Chinese followers. We just need to find where we can post it for them. Okay? I'm hoping that very soon, I'm hoping soon that I'm going to be on Chinese social media. Maybe, I'm not sure if I'm going to be on Bilibili or on Xiaohongshu or Douyin, one of the two. Helena, 如果你要看你需要用梯子. Okay? A ladder. You have to go over the wall. You can't just watch it. I don't know why, because it's just a file. It's just, I mean, it's just a file. It has 4 pages and it just tells you who I am. But it's just, you have to use a VPN to see it. I don't know why. Okay? So Charlie, Jasmine said, the teacher's Chinese is really good. 我感觉我的中文还好啊，因为我自己学中文，所以我知道我的中文有一点奇怪，有时候就是有一点奇怪，这是自己的，当然，OK，but 为什么我可以说？我说放松的，对不对？我说放松的，因为我可以想的。Okay? So the reason that I can speak comfortably is because I can think comfortably. Now, sometimes my grammar is a little weird, or maybe I use a word that's not the word that somebody else would use, or maybe my pronunciation's maybe even a little bit off. But most people will understand me, and that's all I care about. That's all I care about. Okay? But the secret of language is thinking. Okay? The secret of language is thinking. You have to think comfortably in that language so that you can use it by speaking or listening or reading or writing. Okay? But the way I think about it is thinking is like a platform. This is thinking. Okay? And reading, writing, listening, and speaking, they stand on that platform. So if you're reading and you're writing and you're listening and speaking, if they're weak, it's probably because your platform is weak. Okay? But if your thinking is strong, then your reading and your writing and your listening and your speaking will be strong. Okay? Okay, one moment. No, Susu got kicked out again. What happened? Okay. It's been about 2 hours, guys. I think that's about time for me to go. Do I do some translations when I speak Chinese? I do once in a while. I do like but only if there's a word where it's like, oh, what's that word again? Oh yeah, right. But most of the time. Okay, so like, for example, Charlie, if I wake up in the morning, I'll think to myself, 今天我需要做什么? Or if I'm hungry, I'll think to myself, 我肚子饿，我很饿. Right? Or if the weather is hot, 今天的天气就是好热. Okay? So those are direct Chinese in my mind, English, or Chinese in my mind, Chinese out of my mouth. That's direct. I'm not translating. Okay? But maybe when I'm in the middle of a sentence, there's a word that I'm looking for and I'll have to think about it for a second, and that requires me to translate. But what you're trying to do is you're trying to reach a point where you feel that you have a basic ability to think in that language. Maybe not perfectly, but you can play. That's the point, everybody, is the most critical part of learning is the play stage of learning. So when you learn a new skill, when you study an exercise, after you learn that exercise, you're supposed to play with it. Because play is when you really learn. All right? So you study, then play. Study, then play. Now, you don't play with anything, you play with it. You play with the thing that you were just studying, right? So play is a very important part of learning. But if you can't play, then you're really missing out, right? So thinking allows you to play with the language. And that means that your ability goes way up because now you can play with it. All right? Does that make sense? If you can't think about it, then you can't play with it, then it feels like it's like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. But if you can think about it, then you can play with it, then you feel like, oh, well, this is kind of fun. Okay? I am a Virgo. Probably not surprising. Okay, so one more time, this is my file. Everything that you need to know about me is in that file. Okay, so if you want to know who I am, get the file and read the file. If you want to know about my schedule here, when do I teach, get the file and read the file. If you want to know about my YouTube channel and my website and my blog, get the file. And also, I put 4 articles in that file, 4 articles that I wrote, right, that I've written for you. I wrote one about how to think in English. There's another article about how to learn vocabulary in a better way. There's another article about how to ask the right questions when you're learning, that 9 out of 10 students don't ask the right questions. And if you don't ask the right questions, then you won't learn well. So learning, a very important part of learning, is considering your questions. Consider your questions. There are so many questions you can ask, but some questions are more valuable than others. So if I ask this question, how can I be good? Can you answer that, please? Why is that a bad question? Yeah, right, because you can only give a simple answer, right? So if you say, how can I learn English? Here you go. Here's an English book. There you go. That's how you can learn English. Or you can say, practice. But is that really an answer? Is that the answer that person wanted? No. But the question was a bad question because it's too big. It's too big. Don't ask those questions. How can I learn English? Here you go. Buy a book. Get the book that says How to Learn English. All right? Or, or you can stop and think for a minute about your problems. I want you to think about what's hard for you in English. What's hard for you? Is pronunciation hard for you? Okay, why? How? What pronunciation is hard for you? Maybe some of them are easy, but some of them are really hard. Can you figure that out? Which ones are easy for you and which ones are hard? What about vocabulary? Some words are easy and some words are hard. Do you know which ones? What about grammar? Some grammar is very easy, but some grammar is very difficult. Right? So you have to think about it. Take a minute and stop and think about what your problems really are and ask about those. Okay? If you ask a big question, you're going to get a big answer, like a general answer. If you ask a general question, you're gonna get a general answer. How can I be good? Practice. All right, but that's not a real answer because it's not a real question. So ask better questions. The best students ask the best questions. And the best students always have questions. Okay? The best students always have questions. Okay? All right. Oh yeah, the pin. Yeah, that's okay. That's all right. I thought you did that on purpose to pin it up there. Okay. Huh? I don't know. I'm not sure. Okay. Is the word so? Yes, the word vocabulary is countable. Okay. But it also can be uncountable. There are some words that are like this, right? So, for example, you can say, she has a large vocabulary, right? She has a large English vocabulary. That's the single version of the plural word, right? Studying reading helps expand your vocabulary. But we can also say medical people and legal people, doctors and lawyers, use different vocabularies. That means plural, so that would be countable. There are two vocabularies, medical and legal. Okay? Yasmin, you don't have anyone to practice with. What should you do? Yasmin, come here and watch me regularly. Watch here. And Yasmin, practice thinking in English. Thinking in English is the most important practice that you should do. 50% of your practice should be thinking practice. 50%. Okay? 50% of the time you should be practicing thinking in English. Okay? All right. It is 12 o'clock. It's time for me to go have some lunch. It is 12 o'clock, so it's time for me to go. But thank you guys for watching and listening and participating and following. Come back and see me again, okay? When I do this, many people come and watch again and again and again. There must be a reason why so many people come again and again, right? It's useful. So come and watch and listen and make notes, everybody. I'm teaching. It's a class. Write down the things I say and use them. Okay? What will I have for lunch? I don't know. I don't think we have a lot here. We have some leftover pizza. I'll probably eat that. But we don't have a lot. I have to go to the store today to buy some food, to groceries. So, Waleed, where have you been? I just noticed you. Oh, there you are. You just showed up. Well, I hope you're okay, Waleed. But that's okay, man. You'll catch us next time. Okay, all right, that's it for me, guys. I gotta go. Have a good morning, have a good afternoon, have a good evening, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Okay? Bye.